Today we are going to start with a new volume, SD 51B. So this is the volume. Okay. And the first sutta is actually this is volume B, so second part is 51.14. And this is A 5.53. And I think I need some water. No? The sutta is called Panchaka Padana Sutta, the 5 supports for spiritual endeavor or striving, effort, if you like. There is an alternate title, Padaniyanga Sutta, the discourse on the limbs of striving. So here again we have this very short, almost simple sutta in the Anguttara. There are no details at all, only 5 things. So here again, as I've mentioned before, these are like study notes which a teacher would use and explain it to his students or to the audience. So this is a short discourse listing the 5 limbs of striving, that is, the supports or conditions conducive to spiritual endeavor, in other words, our spiritual training, our spiritual progress. What do we need to progress successfully, properly on the Dhamma path? We need faith, health, honesty, effort, and wisdom. Right? So we don't hear this kind of combination. This is quite unique in a sense. Faith here simply means the acceptance of the historical Buddha and the 4 supermundane paths. We'll talk about this a little more later. It's a very interesting point. Number 2, health. In other words, we should have good physical health and a life conducive to spiritual growth. It is like, number 1 is the spiritual aspect, number 2 is the physical aspect. And then 3 is a kind of mental aspect or emotional aspect, social aspect even, if you like. Honesty. Here, honesty refers to spiritual friendship with teachers and colleagues in the Dhamma. And then number 4 is, you can say, is a kind of psychological aspect, is effort. Effort meaning diligence, being hardworking in spiritual cultivation. I mean, the word cultivation is itself very clear. It's like growing something. If you're going to grow something, you really have to work hard, prepare the ground, get good seeds, choose the right time to sow the seeds and take care of the seeds as it sprout, and so on and so forth. And finally, the goal, wisdom. Wisdom here means vision of true reality leading to self-awakening. So there you are. These are the 5 limbs or 5 aspects, 5 supports for spiritual striving, spiritual progress. So there are lots of notes here. Got nearly 20 pages or more. The translation is on page 23. Panchaka Padana Sutta. The 5's discourse on the strivings. So it looks like here, I think we've got to change the title to just on striving. Can I have a red pen? The 5's discourse on striving. Bhikshus, there are these 5 limbs of striving. What are the 5? Okay, then you have section 2, which is the first answer. Here, bhikshus, a monk has faith. He has faith in the Tathagata's awakening thus. And then comes the famous Itipiso Gatha. Itipiso Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vijja Charana Sampanno Sugato Lokavidu Anuttaro Purisa Dhamma Sarati Sattha Deva Manusanang Buddho Bhagavati. So too is he the Blessed One, for he is Arahat, meaning worthy of holiness, worthy of our respect and so on, because of his holiness. Fully self-awakened one is not a prophet of anyone. He is not awakened on account of someone else. It's through his own effort. Accomplished in wisdom and conduct. Knowledge and action, they kind of complement and reflect one another. Wellfarer, Sugato, here meaning wherever he goes, the place is blessed. Whenever we meet him, it's a blessed occasion. Knower of worlds. Okay, here, worlds, of course, basically we're listing of the three worlds: sense world, form world, formless world, the whole universe. That's only one aspect. But the more important term here refer to worlds as our six senses. These form our constructed world, which we have to deal with. The five physical senses: eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and then the sixth sense, the mind. So with the mind has number 6. Those form our world. So the Buddha knows all this. He knows the all. This is called the all. Peerless guide of persons to be tame. Peerless, incomparable. So he's a guide, sarati, someone who teaches others and kind of guides them out of negative states, out of defilements, difficulties, and so on. And of course, these people must be ready to be tamed, ready to calm their negative emotions and defilements and wildness, if you like. So, in a sense, not everyone is ready, but usually when you meet the Buddha, you are likely to be ready. And then you have Sattha Deva Manusanang, teacher of gods and humans. Right, teachers of humans, that's very clear. But teacher of gods is can be quite difficult to explain. Who are these gods? Who are these devas? We can say they are extraterrestrials, if you like, quite in keeping with our times. They don't really belong to this world, so to speak. They are of other worlds. So this is as if Buddhism is being prepared for the future, for the space age, if you like. There may come a time where we'll be transacting with aliens and so on, so they also will be learning Buddhism. Right? So then the Buddha will be teachers of gods and humans. So what is being said here is telling us that the Buddha is willing to teach anyone, whether humans or not, as long as they are intelligent, it is possible to teach them. And then the Buddha is Buddho, awakened with self-understanding. Awakened in the sense that he sees things as they are, is awakened from the sleep of ignorance, from the nightmare of craving. So he is awakened into the real world. And finally, the last one is blessed, Bhagava. Bhagava also means someone who shares his blessing, if you like. So there you are. These are the 9 virtues of the Buddha, and if we are truly eager and dedicated to Dharma training, we would have faith in the historical Buddha, Sakyamuni. We don't need other imaginative beings, any external beings, whether it's a big G God, small G God, or other kinds of Buddhas. wherever they may be, and so we don't need them. In fact, they don't exist. They're just imaginative ideas created by the post-Buddhist teachers and theologians. So it's good to just go back to the Buddha. It's like we have one father, and that's all we need. We show respect to our father. We're grateful to this father and mother, our parents, who gave us a human body. And not only that, they spend our early years, especially the first 7 years, showing us love and care and the human touch, so that we are humanized. If we miss those first 7 years, we wouldn't be human. We may have a human body, but we would not be human. We would be a kind of animal being, if you like. If we're taking care of some wolf, we'll behave like a wolf. If we're taking care of the gorillas, we'll behave like gorillas, and so on. So, being human is a great blessing, in other words. So, you have a human Buddha, right? So, because the human world is where you have kind of interaction of pleasure and pain, suffering and joy. And there is a great chance for us to learn, to change, to grow, and to awaken from our human state to a higher state, to be free from the limitations of our senses. In a sense, if you look at the history of human progress, religion tries to freeze progress, try to control us, try to limit our growth, and try to sap our energy for the glory of a small group of people, sometimes just one person, the cult leader. Whereas spirituality, like the Buddha's teaching, and science too, teaches us to see beyond our senses. If you look at science, the great inventions of science all try to go beyond our senses, try to be free of the limits of our senses. The telescope allows us to see further than the normal eye can see. The microscope allows us to see smaller things than our eye can see. The telephone, television, and all these great inventions are physical aspects of how the scientists, if you like, show us how to rise above the limits of our senses. The Buddha teaches us to meditate and to see our mind by learning to settle our physical body and so be free from it, and to see our mind directly for what it is. And then even to free ourselves from the mind. And the scientists have not come to this level yet. They're beginning to explore the possibilities. But you see, in early Buddhism, there is this training where you build up your focus, your calmness, mental clarity, and then you rise even above the mind into higher levels, into the jhanas, into deeper peace and clarity, and then use that to reflect on true reality. That's our telescope and microscope and all those spiritual instruments with which we see the real world, true reality, and so become awakened just like the Buddha. That is why we have faith in the Buddha. Isn't that wonderful? Now, number 2, the second support we need is health. The sutta says, he is free from illness and affliction, possessing a good digestion that is neither too cool nor too warm, but medium, and able to bear the strain of striving. So this is a kind of advice telling us in simple words, 2 words or 3 words, the middle way. Okay? Keep to the middle way. Notice the first part says free from illness and affliction. Illness, of course, is sickness, kind of imbalance of the 4 elements. That's an old traditional way of looking at how our health sometimes get into jeopardy. Affliction here meaning generally some kind of pain that's inflicted to us. For example, we fall, or we are hurt somehow physically, or someone hurts us, right? So that kind of affliction. This can also include mental aspects, right? Being stressed, being negative and neurotic and so on. So we've got to be free from all this as far as possible. And if we are not, then of course we need some help from others who can help us. And then the next section says to have a good digestion. In other words, to eat healthily and the balance between cool and warm. So this is the idea of food in the Buddha's time, not to take extremes of kinds of food. I'm not so expert in this area of food and health in the Buddha's time. I think some research are going on there. People like Zisk, they specialize in this kind of study. So here, the idea is to take the kind of food you can feel it. You feel good taking this, and it helps you to be healthy, to be able to exert yourself, and also not to take too little or too much, knowing the amount and knowing anything at the right time and so on. So this is all a matter of discipline and habit. With all this kind of discipline and arrangements, we should be able to bear the strain of striving, because when we strive, like when we meditate, you have to sit quite long sometimes for those who are seasoned, and you've got to stay healthy, because if you eat too much food, then you'll be sleepy. If you're too weak, again, you can't meditate very well. Or if you do meditate well, then your body will not be able to take it, and so on. So you need this balance. And basically be prepared be prepared healthily, so that you can practice the Buddha's teaching in a proper way, in a successful way. Number 3, the third quality, he is honest and sincere, and shows himself as he really is to teachers or to wise companions in the holy life. Now this is a very beautiful statement. If you really want to grow spiritually, you have to be honest to yourself, you have to be open to others, and it takes courage here. You notice when we meet people, especially people we do not know very well, some of them would not even tell us their name, for example. Then you begin to be quite suspicious. I mean, if someone doesn't want to tell their name, obviously they have things to hide. And sometimes we find people might even agree with you very easily. Then you begin to think, oh, wow, this person doesn't seem to have a mind of his own. And again, that can be quite troubling. We're not sure what this person, what kind of person he or she is. Even teachers sometimes, we do not really know who they are. I mean, they can give very good talks and very good lessons, but then when you actually approach them for help and you find somehow you don't know them. I mean, they don't seem to be open and direct and clear or helpful. So, in other words, people who hold back things, they have something to hide, and they have some other ulterior motives or some things to hide. The Buddha in the Mahaparinibbana Sutta, for example, declares that he doesn't have the acharya mutti, he doesn't have the face of a teacher. He has nothing to hide. Whatever that needs to be taught, he has taught us. Nothing hidden. It's only our ability to understand, to practice, and he teaches according to that kind of ability. And from there he tells us, you got to continue, you got to move on, there's more to learn, Okay? So here, if if we call someone a teacher, a good teacher that is, we would be open with this teacher. Even if we try not to be open, this wise teacher, if he really cares for us, will observe us and he will see through us. He will know what kind of character we have or we are. And of course, if we are honest with him, it's easier for him to help us. Here, you have to be sure that you have a good teacher who's truly experienced, qualified, compassionate, wise, and morally virtuous. So then you can be honest and sincere with this teacher. Even if the teacher scolds you, you know why. And there's a kind of emphatic way of telling you this needs to be changed and this needs to be corrected. So this is about being companions in the holy life, moving together on the path to awakening and on the path of awakening. Number 4, he dwells energetic in abandoning unwholesome states, in promoting wholesome states, steadfast, resolute in his effort, and not shirking from the task of cultivating wholesome states. Wholesome states means positive states of mind, basically those of calm and clarity, clearing away greed, hate, delusion. So here, to be energetic, to put forth physical and mental effort, especially mental effort. We need to put forth physical effort in the sense of keeping ourselves healthy, in the sense of preparing the proper place for our practice, in the sense of knowing how to rest, how to exercise our body to keep it healthy, and so on. And then there is mental exertion to practice the right practices, to avoid negative conditions, to overcome distractions and hindrances, not to give up, to go on building the good qualities that we notice in our practices. So, in that way, we remove or at least weaken the unwholesome states, especially rooted in greed, hate, and delusion. And we cultivate the wholesome states of non-greed or charity, non-hate, loving kindness, and non-delusion or wisdom. So this is our own effort. Then finally, he is wise. He possesses wisdom regarding the arising and falling away of things that is noble and penetrative, and that leads to the complete destruction of suffering. So this is the goal. So here wise has 2 levels of meaning. One is understanding the teaching and applying it and being happy with it. The other meaning is you attain the goal, the path and the goal. So here, notice it says, he possesses wisdom regarding the arising and falling away of things. This is the practice of impermanence, watching how, look at our breath, how breath rises and falls, rises and falls. Our breath is the most precious thing that we have. It's our life itself. Even our life, we don't really own it. We take this breath in, we must give it back. We take it in, we give it back. It doesn't belong to us. So there we reflect on impermanence, on non-self, and on the rise and fall of all things. If you're a scientist, you notice whatever exists, even whether it is organic or inorganic, even on the kind of atomic level, if you like, you have the rise and fall of things. So here we reflect on this, and when we do this, we begin to see this truth of impermanence on a larger scale. We see this truth of impermanence pervading everything, everyone, and everything that exists, that is. They are impermanent. So once we understand this, in time we will penetrate ignorance and craving, and we penetrate into the Four Noble Truths. We understand the true nature of suffering. It is said that when you understand one noble truth, you also understand the other three, all the rest. So when you understand the true nature of suffering, then you will be able to overcome suffering. So those are the 5 limbs of striving that the Buddha has given us. So do reflect on these 5 limbs of striving and see where you are strong and where you need to develop. Reflect on these 5 limbs. Even reflecting on these 5 limbs will help you to grow, help you to better yourself in the practice. So in that sense, you will notice all the dharmas, all the teaching we'll be talking about is actually talking about the same thing. It's like there are variations on the same theme, like in music. So basically we always practice to approach, to go nearer to the path of awakening. And with that, we end today's reflection. Let us close with another short reflection. When we look around ourselves, one thing we can be very sure of is that everything changes. Everything is impermanent. And when we reflect in this way, we must ask ourselves, what am I doing with my time? Am I preparing myself properly before it is too late? Am I preparing myself to come nearer to the path, to awaken in this life, at least as a stream winner? If we at least can do that, then there is hope for us to attain awakening in due course. Reflecting in this way is very good karma. By the power of this karma, may we be blessed with good health, courage and wisdom to at least aspire to stream winning in this life itself. And by the power of the 3 jewels too, may our loved ones be well and happy, our friends and relatives too be well and happy. May they all come nearer to see and understand and accept the true teaching of the Buddha. And finally, by the power of the 3 jewels too, may those who are lost and those who have misunderstood the teaching and teaching the wrong things, may they too see the true teaching and approach the path in this life itself. May all beings be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.